one man's savant is another one's bullshit artist.
Depends on who you ask.
Yes, exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Film Hustlers.
That's a great intro, Robert.
You like that? So, brand new year.
That's right.
2023. I want to congratulate everyone on getting through the year. Everyone had lots of dreams about doing their movies and getting their TV shows done and getting their scripts done and all that. And I think, I've seen a lot of emails and a lot of DMs that say that they were inspired by the show. So, hopefully, we'll keep doing that in 2023.
Yep.
But what I like about our show is that on occasion we have somebody in the industry that we've never had on before in terms of what they do. Now today, Bill Stankey's here. Bill Stankey, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to be here.
He handles and has handled Chip and Joanna Gaines, The McGees, Ethan and Elizabeth Finkelstein, which are the show that my wife's executive producing with Bill called
Old Houses.
Cheap Old Houses.
One of my favorite. I love those ones.
That's super exciting. I don't even know how that came about, but I love the idea. Obviously, Ethan and Elizabeth are clients of Bill's, and Anne and Bill have worked together, and Anne always talks about how much she appreciates working with Bill and how Bill gets things done. And to be honest, you guys have done a lot of work together, you and Anne.
We have.
And he also handles and manages Ty Pennington. I haven't even met Ty, and Ty always comments on all my stuff on my Instagram, which I think is kind of fun. Yeah, he's always comments. We have
posting building stuff, Robert. I see where you're going to this. If I only had some help
I know.
with this.
Really. Yeah, absolutely.
But
I need a new Train air conditioner. I wonder who might be able to get a discount on that.
I love people like Ty though, because Ty's just such a normal guy. I feel like I know him. I feel like if I met him, it would be like we knew each other for years.
I have to tell you, he's a really great guy.
Yeah.
He's down to earth. He's normal. Well, I won't go that far.
Yeah.
He's got a wicked sense of humor, and he's a lot of fun to be around. And he's been a client of mine for over 20 years now.
And he's been a star I remember being, I don't want to age myself, but I remember seeing him on Trading Spaces, which was Trading Spaces one of the first reality type shows ever?
It was one of the first home shows. Yeah.
Home shows, yeah.
Premiered like in maybe 1999 maybe or 2000.
I just remember girls talking about him and his shirt off and like the show and like it was pretty amazing, like the kind of coverage he got. But
did you want to get into construction?
I didn't watch the show at all, but I kept hearing about this guy that's on Trading Spaces. Like everyone was talking about it. So it's interesting that he's been so successful after doing that show. Was he always on television, or was he an actor before that, or how did he get on that show?
No, he was a set carpenter.
Oh wow!
So he worked on. He was the carpenter on Leaving Las Vegas, the film.
Oh wow!
And then he was working on building a set down in Knoxville, Tennessee, for this new show that at the time Scripps was going to produce, and they didn't like the carpenter they had on, and the woman who was working with him or was working on the set that day said, "Bring that guy in from over there," and it was Ty, and and bang, it was magic right after that.
And he's never been out of the business. Now,
I want Harrison Ford right there.
Exactly,
a little bit. Exactly. You're right, a little bit.
I want to go back to how you got started, because your story is pretty interesting. And one thing we talk about on the show a lot is how sometimes you set out to do something in your life and something takes you in a different direction. I was talking to Anne about it last night. It's interesting to me because you came from a place where you were calling agents to offer large sums of money for talent to do commercials. Tell me a little bit about how you got started being a manager.
I started my career being a lecture agent, booking speakers at college lectures and corporate lectures. And if you were a felon, you were a client. I had Abby Hoffman and Timothy Leary and G. Gordon Liddy and John Ehrlichman and everybody from the whole Nixon thing were clients. And then I transitioned from that, left the company that I was with in New York, started my own company. And I started to get calls from PR companies and ad agencies because the big agencies wouldn't call these people back. They just plain wouldn't call them back. And so, I knew a lot of agents from the different agencies, so I would get in the middle of these deals. Someone would call up and they'd be like, well, we've got someone, we need to find a celebrity that has restless leg syndrome, or allergies or whatever it may be. And then I would call the different agents or their managers or whatever it was, and then I would start to put these deals together with PR companies, because the environment had shifted in terms of what you were allowed to do on television, particularly in the drug business. It's like they asked, who was the famous bank robber? Why do you rob banks? That's because where the money is. Well, that's why I got involved in the pharmaceutical industry, putting celebrities in pharmaceutical campaigns. Joan London was the first person to ever do a TV commercial for a prescription drug, which was Claritin. And ad agency had come to me, said, we understand she has allergies. I went to William Morris. They had made a fairly substantial offer, a few $1 million. And the agent at William Morris said, oh, she'll never in a million years do that. And I was crestfallen because I was already spending my money.
It's a good commission.
Going to buy a Lamborghini or something. And ultimately, 2 months later, I read in the newspaper that she left the William Morris agency, and they listed the name of her lawyer, a guy by the name of Mark Chamlin, who's the head of the entertainment practice at Loeb & Loeb. And so I called him up and I said, why did you turn this deal down? And he said, what are you talking about? And I said, yeah, I put this offer in through William Morris. And he says, go back and get it. And so I called the ad agency back up, and it was an ad agency I tried getting my foot in the door with for like 10 years, could never get them to call me back. And they had made an offer of $2 million. And I went back to them and I said, look, she's willing to do it, but we need $5 million.
Nice.
But it's a 2-year deal. I'm going to give you 2 years. So I went from a 1-year deal for $2 million for a 2-year deal for $5 million. And, and that's how I, really got started in that brokering business and saw how lucrative it could be.
Did they say yes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
yes.
she did Claritin
They
for
said
2
yes,
years.
and it renewed for like 4 years. I don't know how much money she made on the long run, but she did very, very well on that.
Nice.
Things haven't changed. Agents still stand in your way.
I was about to say, agents still get in the way and mess shit up. Basically, that's what happened. Because if you could have went straight to the... Well, you actually would have lost on $3 million. So let's say it worked out for the best. You got the Lamborghini. You got the Lamborghini, and you got a little extra.
But no, it's a matter of you have to figure out who you're serving. And what I find with a lot of people, particularly in the big agencies, is they're serving themselves.
Right.
They're not serving their clients.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you continue with that, but it's been systemic for a long time.
Yeah.
How did so once you made that deal, did other agencies and agents hear about, hey, Stankey came with a $5 million deal for Jane London? I mean, did that become a thing?
No, that didn't become a thing.
Oh, no?
It was still hard to get anyone to pick up the phone and call you back sometimes.
Wow,
Yeah, no.
that's obnoxious.
And so I figured out the whole manager thing. So I would start to go to managers, and then the managers would turn me around and send me to the agents, and I'm thinking, man, there's a lot of hands in the pot here. Like, why are you doing this? But I was able to build a lot of connections, particularly here in Los Angeles, as a result of doing this work, because there was nobody else doing it.
Right.
And ultimately, what ended up happening, companies like WPP and Omnicom and the big holding companies for all the PR agencies, they ended up creating their own internal versions of me. So I started to get aced out of that business. And then I pivoted, ended up becoming a manager because I had put together a PR program for Thai during the launch of the McGriddle sandwich. I feel responsible for that.
Wait a minute, so
I take a lot of pride in the McGriddle sandwich. I have to be honest.
That's not a bad sandwich.
I have to be honest.
I haven't
with you.
had a McGriddle sandwich.
It's seasonal. Isn't it seasonal?
No. It's every day. It's,
Is it back? Okay.
It's
delicious.
It's pancakes, and in the middle of the pancakes are eggs and sausage. And the pancakes are already infused with syrup. So it doesn't
You're making
get,
my mouth water.
I know.
Yeah, no,
it's
good.
That's amazing.
It's like the ketamine of pancakes.
Now, do you eat that with a fork and a knife, or
No,
just
you
with
just-
the hand?
Oh no, you eat it with the hand.
Oh,
if you eat it with a fork or a knife, that's.
No hash browns? Can you throw hash browns on it too?
Yes.
Just to kind of
I
sum it up?
think you probably could. That may be
Yes.
seasonal though.
That might be that. There we go. There's the seasonal.
So
Stack them up, baby.
Mexicans put some hot sauce on it.
Before we get into the McGriddle sandwich, how did you meet Ty?
It was got a call from a PR agency in Chicago, Golan Harris, and they've been McDonald's agency for probably 50 years. And the idea was they were going to launch the McGriddle sandwich. The genius part of it is we're going to do a McGriddle sandwich stacking competition. Visually, I'm not so sure, but that's what they wanted to do. And I had to find someone who was in that, in the trade business that it would make sense to build something. So I was representing a guy by the name of Andrew Dan Jumbo at the time, and I thought he would be great. He was on While You Were Out or Trading Spaces, and they didn't want him. And my wife said, "Oh, what about Ty Pennington?" And I was like, "Really? Like I'm not seeing that." But I reached out to him, and he came into Chicago. He did the deal, and it was a big payday for him because at the time he was making like $1,500 on Trading Spaces.
What?
There was like no money involved in it at all,
And he was a draw.
Like he was the guy.
Wow,
crazy. But that's how reality TV started. Was people did not get paid a lot of money. They still don't get paid a lot of money.
Yeah. So he accepted the gig. He did the McGriddle sandwich thing, and then you guys never separated, or
no? We just kind of hit it off. And at the time, he told me, "Oh, I have this other show that it's been proposed to me." He had an agent at the time, and he said, "I think I need a manager." And I said, "Well, I don't know that much about the TV business." And he said to me, "I don't think anyone knows that much about the TV business."
True.
And I was like, "Well, then I'm up for the job."
then I'm in.
And I'm totally qualified for this.
You'll over-deliver in that case.
They were shooting the pilot, and he had some issues on the set, and he called me, and I didn't know anyone in TV, but I found out that Andrea Wong was the head of reality at ABC.
What was the show?
The show was Extreme Makeover Home Edition.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
The show was Extreme Makeover Home Edition. They were shooting in Detroit, and that came about as a fluke. What happened was they were going to make the house over in a short period of time, and the family that was chosen happened to have a kid who was handicapped. And that became the draw for that show, was having a renovation, but at the same time helping somebody out who needed help.
Lucky break.
A family in need. And that's how the format really evolved.
So then you called Andrea Wong on behalf of...
And said, "Hey, my guy doesn't have a trailer." And he's like, "Well, there's a trailer in the budget. I don't know why he doesn't have a trailer." And, then I unraveled that, the agents were getting packaging fees, and they weren't, Ty was over the moon because he wasn't, having to pay a commission. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know what a packaging fee was. I had no idea. And then I, looked through the whole thing, and I was like, look, these guys are feathering their own nests. They're not taking care of the talent. So I stepped in and I took care of them, and we've been together now for, over 20 years.
So just so people understand, a packaging fee is when you're with an agency that charges the production a fee for their services in addition to getting you the money as a talent. Yeah. But they get paid sometimes more than the talent gets paid.
They call that the VIG on the street.
Oh, the VIG.
No, it is. It's totally. It is. That's exactly what it's called. It's the VIG. But it's a packaging fee is 3%. And the way that it works,
the VIG, 3%.
The way that it works is if the cost of the show of an episode is $3 million, or let's say $1 million, $1 million for the cost of the show, 3%, $30,000 is the packaging fee.
That's a lot of money.
Okay. And you collect your packaging fee up front. So if you get an order for 10 episodes, you're collecting $300,000 up front. Meanwhile, the talent, and this was a network show, was getting paid $7,500 as talent. So the agents were splitting a $30,000 packaging fee. The talent's not making any money. And then they've got their hands in their pocket because they want to save on a trailer. Yeah. So there's all kinds of grift going on in some of these things sometimes.
Plus a commission, right?
I think it's much more.
Commission.
No commission on the talent because we're doing you a favor.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about it. We're taking care of you. You're 100% taken care of. You don't ever have to pay us a
Except
commission.
for that VIG. That VIG is coming in first. We got to wet the beak first.
So then you and Ty become manager talent. He gets Extreme Makeover Home Edition. which becomes a huge hit.
Huge hit. 10 years.
Yeah,
On for 10 years.
Amazing. Which makes him a household name.
Totally.
So were you representing other people as well at this point, or was it just him?
I know. I was pretty much brokering talent. I was getting in the middle of deals because the big agencies weren't calling back, the ad agencies or the PR companies, or even people for personal appearances.
The other story that I think is super interesting is that you got Ty a deal at Sears. How did the Sears deal come about?
Well, I read early on that Sears had signed on as a sponsor of the show. And I figured, well, I can create some leverage with this. So I called Sears and said, look, I think that Ty would be great for a line of products. Bob Vila had been the spokesperson for Craftsman Tools for a really long time from this old house. Yeah. And I thought maybe you could use, a new face on this. And they said to me, well, look, we're already involved in the show. We don't really need Ty Pennington as a spokesperson. And I said, okay, well, that works for me, as long as you don't care that he may be a spokesperson for the Home Depot at some point.
Ooh, good. Good move.
And then they were like, what are you talking about, Willis? And so they flew into New York. We took a meeting, and I had this vision, and Ty had this vision of doing stuff beyond tools. So we had 700 SKUs. We had plates and dishes and tableware and picture frames and all kinds of,
so not just power
all kinds
tools.
of stuff. Yeah, everything. Yeah, all design kind of stuff, and tablecloths and at the time he had like 700 SKUs. Wow. at Sears, and that's money undiluted by labor. You wake up in the morning and you get a report, and you find out the day before, we did $400,000 in sales, and I get this little tiny percentage of that. But it adds up
every day. Every day.
It adds up, and a result of that, a lot of other people in the home renovation business started to come to me for representation. That's kind of how the whole career got started in the home and the design business, was a result of Ty. Kind of a narrow category to some degree. And what I've always done is, because I don't care. Like, if I make the deal, great. If I don't make the deal, that's okay too. But what I learned was, like, you start at the absolute top of the company, and then they push you down. And like, if you call the chairman, if you call the president of, I had a client who wanted to be in Nordstrom's. Okay, so I called Peter Nordstrom. Now, I don't know Peter Nordstrom. Okay, I have no idea who. And all I know is, like, when you looked him up on LinkedIn, Peter Nordstrom's the chairman of the company. So I called Peter Nordstrom, and Peter Nordstrom referred me to somebody else. And as soon as you get that referral to somebody else that comes from who the head of the company is, they start to pay attention, and then their whole philosophy is, oh, I can't fuck this up,
right?
And as a result of that, they start to pay more and more attention to you, and you can either end up making a deal or you don't make a deal, but they listen to you and they pay attention to you.
There's something powerful, though. There's something powerful about what you do, because what you do, you sort of specialize in it, and as a result, you've got Ty, you've got Chip and Joanna Gaines, and I got to tell you, I was at Target the other day, and I was coming down the escalator, and I saw, like, oh, there's Chip and Joanna Gaines section, and there's the McGee's section, like right next to each other, like full on living rooms and kitchen stuff. I mean, but it was interesting because I thought for sure you were responsible for setting those scenarios up for these guys.
Yep.
But I don't think managers that are at agencies and agents that are, unless you go to them, there's a very good chance that those deals don't become available, right? You actually call Target and offer up these things. And,
absolutely.
And they hadn't even thought about probably making a deal with these guys to have their own line of stuff, right?
Right. Well, I mean, initially Target turned down the Gaines.
Oh, wow. Really?
Initially.
And how do you get them to say yes? Then are you giving them ideas like, hey, do this, hey, do?
Well, they turned around. They started to look at stuff a little bit, differently. And so when they came back and they made the deal with the Gaines, which has been a wonderful deal for everybody involved, and the Gaines have knocked it out of the ballpark at Target. There's a lot of room for different talent inside of places like, Target and Walmart and big box stores. Mm. So after they made the deal with the Gaines, and I was no longer representing the Gaines after that, I thought, I'm going to call them and see if they're interested in Sid and Shay McGee. Right. And, and they were interested in them. And now I've got this credibility because I delivered Ty to Sears, and that was a winner, and then the Gaines to Target, and that was a winner, and then the McGee's, which is, an even bigger winner at Target right now. And it wasn't by design, but like I like to try to maintain relationships with people. So once I had that person inside of, Target that I could talk to, I could call them for advice and say, hey, I've got somebody for this, but like, where do you think I should go with it in retail? If it wasn't right for, whether it's Target or Walmart or wherever, and they would give me good advice on where I should go or give me ideas to go with. So it's all about maintaining connections with people. And I think that intrinsically, people truly want to help other people.
Right.
Except for maybe in the film industry or the entertainment industry. They don't want to help anybody. It's like, I'm not sure that this is going to work for us. Don't tell. How many times have you gone in and pitched a movie or a story to somebody, and at the end of the meeting they go, we love this. Don't tell this to anybody else. We're going to get back to you.
Well, I probably haven't I haven't had that, but I've had, studio execs stand up in the middle of my pitch and go like, this is not for us. Like literally stand up. Literally stand up and leave the room. This isn't for
He's talking about Succession, like about not for us.
This is the failure part of it.
This is completely not going to work for us. But I don't want it to get lost in this conversation that you're making things happen by making phone calls, by connecting with people, by doing things that ordinary managers and agents might not have done. And you open those doors. Let me ask you this. Because you opened those doors for these clients, did any agents or managers catch on to what you were doing and try to do it?
Yeah, of course.
And
what ended up happening, like I spent most of from like 2004 until the pandemic, flying around the country and being on set when my clients were doing TV commercials or whatever it be, because what would happen is, and you got to remember, back in like when Ty first got on TV, none of the agencies wanted to represent reality talent.
It wasn't a thing.
They wanted scripted people. They didn't care about it. They didn't see it. They didn't have a vision for it. They weren't used to it.
It was going away in a year.
It was going to be over. Reality's done. It's never going to happen. But as soon as people started to get success, what would happen was these bigger agencies, and whether it was like CAA or William Morris or UTA or ICM, they'd start to show up on sets. Or if I had somebody booked on, Jimmy Fallon, they would see the list of the guests that are going to be on Jimmy Fallon, and I'd walk backstage, and there'd be like 4 guys from, William Morris. And I'd be like, what are you guys doing here? So I spent a lot of time just protecting my own turf. I got a lot of frequent flyer miles out of it, okay? But, it was exhausting, But fortunately, throughout my entire career, I've really only lost like 2 clients.
If you think about people like Chip and Joanna Gaines, they have a network now. They're sort of an institution now. Does that become something where they just don't need management in the level that they did before, and they've just kind of become their own like huge company? Like, how does that work? Like, when they move on to these huge deals, do you guys part ways because it's just sort of time?
I think you part ways because it's sort of time.
Yeah.
I think sometimes you part ways because you don't share the same vision about things. I think in the case of the Gaines, like they were pretty well set up when their network was done. I mean, they had the infrastructure. They've built a beautiful company for themselves. They've done very well for themselves, and once the network deal was set up, which I wasn't part of, other than introducing Zasloff to them, because flew down with David to introduce him.
Pretty sure that
helped.
Pretty sure that helped.
It absolutely helped. There's no question about that. And David is a great guy.
Yeah, they seem like good people.
And they made the deal with them. Once that deal was made, then they had to create content. And that's when I think they went out and I think they interviewed every agent under the sun, and they ended up settling with UTA, which has done a good job for them overall.
Yeah. It's an interesting business because it does kind of grow in kind of weird ways. Now, in addition to Target and these other deals, you get these people book deals?
I've done. I think I've had I want to say, I think I've had like 18 New York Times #1 bestsellers.
Wow. So let me ask you this. How does that work? Like, do you know anything about the book business when you make these deals?
The beauty of this business is you don't need to know shit. Okay?
Yes.
You know,
See, here we go.
This is a business that's made up of like nonsense. So all you have to do is, have a little bit of guts and make these phone calls, and you can learn as you do it. So on the book side of stuff, I had a literary agent that I worked with a little bit who taught me some of the back end of this stuff. And, sometimes I use him on deals. Sometimes I don't use him on deals, and I do my own deals. But, it's not rocket science.
But there's money to be made in books, in book deals?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's money to be made in book deals if you reach a certain level. Other than that, you've really got to be careful about who the publisher is. It's more important to get marketing support on the side of a book than to get some kind of crazy giant advance. Because the advance is only the advance. And if you don't earn out your advance, you're never getting another book again as long as you live. So what I try to do is I try to find, when I negotiate with somebody, I try to find something where everyone feels good about it and everyone walks away as a winner. Because there's nothing worse than someone going, I didn't want to lose the book deal, but I paid, $5 million advance on this book, and I'm going to get my ass handed to me at some point.
That's not fun.
You don't want that. Yeah. I would rather have someone get a $500,000 advance with a $4 million marketing campaign behind it so that book stays #1 on the New York Times list for 20, 30, 40, 50 weeks, because you're earning the money anyway from the advance.
Right. And then everyone's happy.
And then everyone's happy.
Yeah.
And then you can, put a gun in their mouth the next time you go to negotiate the book deal.
Right. So there's a long game to some of this stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And it's all about relationships. I don't use the same publishers, but it's like 5 or 6 publishers that I feel really comfortable with that do a really good job. So I will go to them first with different things. I'll bring them an idea, or I'll ask them what they're looking for. It's the same thing on the retail side of stuff, between, Target and Walmart, Crate and Barrel and At Home and all these companies I've worked with. I really want to know what the trends are that they're looking for, and whether or not I can have somebody who can authentically fit into that trend.
Yeah, that's interesting. So let me ask you this, which I find fascinating. Like, obviously, the business has changed a ton since you started.
Yeah.
But like, you and my wife collaborated on a show called Cheap Old Houses.
Right.
Now,
great show, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. What am I talking about?
Yeah, I know. Why are you saying that?
Apparently, if my wife did it, I did it.
Take credit. Okay.
I take credit. But that, business has changed so much. Now this is 2 people that started an IG account called Cheap Old Houses. Is that how?
It all came from, originally there was an account on Facebook, Circa, and then they developed this Cheap Old Houses, which went on to Instagram. And I was actually having breakfast with Ty down here in Venice, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 years ago. And he said, have you seen this Cheap Old Houses thing? Like, here's a school and it's like $4. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, they just post these homes that are all under $100,000. So I looked at it and thought about it a little bit, and I reached out to Ethan and Elizabeth. And at the time, they were under a development deal with a production company in New York. And so there was no way that I could get involved in anything. And I said to them, well, let me know what happens. But what's the process been so far? Have they shot a sizzle reel? Are they talking to you about the creative? They're like, no, we just signed a deal with them. And it ends up like they were signed for like 2 years to this production company. And the production company never did a freaking thing. Nothing. Never pitched them, never set up a meeting for them, but they were locked up. Once they got freed from being locked up, I thought, there's something here. And, I've known Ann for a long time, back when she was, running ABC Daytime, and she didn't buy the show I pitched her, which I'm still pissed about. I'm still a little annoyed about that. But at any rate, once I had the idea for this thing, I went to Ann and I said, what do you think about this? And she says, oh my God, they've got over 1 million followers. We should be able to sell this. And, fortunately we went to Jane Latman at HGTV, and she bought the show, and the show did very, very well. It was the #1 show the first 3 weeks that it came out, but they really wanted a renovation in it. The audience wanted a renovation. So the show was going to slowly peter away unless we changed the format. And then Ann came up with what, I think is a great format. So we should be back on the air by September of next year. We just finished the pilot, but the pilot's really, really good.
Yeah, I saw the pilot. It looks amazing. I'm looking forward to you guys having a huge success with that. So in success with a show like that, does that increase the possibilities for that talent doing other deals?
Yeah. I mean, the bottom line is you don't make money on television and reality television. I mean, if you're a highly paid home renovation guy, maybe you'll be making $50,000 an episode, maybe $75,000 an episode. But there's only like 3 people that are making that amount of money. Everyone else is making like $6,500 an episode. And they're spending a tremendous amount of time. And the idea that a lot of these people have going into it is like, well, if I get on TV, it's going to really help my business. And it works inversely. If you've got a successful business and you get on TV, typically you blow the shit out of your business and your business falls apart because it's taking you 30 weeks to shoot 5 episodes or 7 episodes of a show. And meanwhile, your business is falling apart. So the only way to prop that up is to be able to do licensing, merchandising, whatever it may be. Cheap Old Houses is a challenge from a licensing and merchandising standpoint because Ethan and Elizabeth are more real estate experts than they are design experts. Although Elizabeth has a great eye for design, but you're renovating these old homes, so chalk paint makes sense. A hammer hits a nail on the head. Does someone want to pay an extra $3 for a hammer because it's Ty Pennington's hammer or Chip Gaines's hammer? No one wants to pay the extra $3 for a hammer that does something. But something that is esoteric like design, they'll pay for that. Yeah. And so it's like for the Finkelsteins, the thing that I think I'm going to do is vintage wallpaper. Makes sense to me to go after. I was just
thinking that.
Were you thinking that?
Yeah, I was.
That's cool.
Yeah, wallpaper is will be a really good category for them. So that's one line of product that'll be in there. There's like wood moldings and things along those lines, hardwood floors, and you can do licensing and all that kind of stuff. But you've got to find something that's authentic to who they are. And you can't do a deal with a company that is questionable in any way, shape, or form in terms of the quality of the stuff that they do. Because if they make a lousy product, that stink's going to get all over your client.
Right.
And then they're going to have to shower like Aaron Sorkin 8 times a day.
7 times.
6 to 8.
6 to 8.
6 to 8 times a day.
That's crazy. I mean, Dave, do you see any correlation to what's happening in the industry for you, like in social media? And,
you're an influencer, man. So how does that? What happens with you in that area?
It's different for me because I kind of stay quiet and stay in my own lane. But I do see like tons of other people doing pretty much the same thing that I'm doing, and like their reach is crazy because they're more outspoken and they put their face. I'm trying to do that too, put myself and my personality into my stuff, but yeah, it can definitely lead because I've had a couple deals that have worked out really well for me. But I can definitely see how social media is like
monetize.
It's the hook, man. Yeah. That's the hook. You can monetize, today.
Yeah.
Weird deals can happen through social media. Yeah.
I mean, and you're still innovating, which is interesting. You're still looking at your clients and realizing where their strengths are, and there's a super cool no nonsense sort of way that your mind thinks in regards to this. Probably why you're so successful.
Possibilities are really endless. So I'm happy to walk in and talk to someone about like a completely ridiculous idea if it looks like the finish line of it is going to make my client a lot of money, and if it gets rejected, I'm okay with that because I'm going to learn something else in the process. I'm going to ask them, well, why didn't you like that? Right. And they'll tell you. 9 out of 10 times they're going to say, well, it's not right for us, or we don't believe that this is going to be on trend. And if I take that information and I don't take stuff personally, early in my career I would take stuff personally and be like, these people don't like me. And then I got beyond that and I was like, I'm just going to like pitch stuff out there and see what happens. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't work, I'll just move on to the next thing. Yeah. And if you move on to the next thing, it's like when I first started working as an agent, because I started as an agent, the more no's I got, the closer I was to a yes.
Right.
That's just the way that it works. And you got to believe that.
Yeah. No, it's true. I think, we can all, everyone listening can learn from that.
You do that a lot, Robert. You pitch, and I take shit personal, but I'm learning. I'll pitch an idea, and this guy will be like, no, okay, didn't let me finish. Let me finish the thing. Like, I already know I don't like it. I'm like, you know what? You don't get it. You don't get it. Yeah, we're going to pass. Okay.
No. Yeah, but that's the other thing, too, is like, because when you go in and pitch stuff, the other thing that happens, because I've been through a lot of pitch meetings, is invariably the person you're pitching will also say, in the interest of full disclosure, we were just pitched something very similar to this.
I get that a lot.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, really? Someone pitched you a story about, a bull and a donkey that elope?
Mine is
I don't
better.
believe that.
Mine is better. Before we go any further, I want to get into, we'll have to have you back and continue this conversation.
Because I got some things I want to pitch.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to talk
There's a new handle called Dead Motels. Have you heard of this? It's awesome.
Really?
Yeah, it's old. They show like the hotel from the heyday, and then they show it today. Mm-hmm. Have you seen that one? Mm-hmm. It's dope. And
I can believe it.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anything there.
All along Route 66. Well, you know what? Here's something that's interesting about that. Because you know what I would do with that? What I would do is I would take that idea, and I would go to somebody like Marriott or Hyatt or someone who's like a big end place, and see if they wanted to do a deal where they would create boutique hotels. They'd end up owning them, finance the renovation through them or through the network, and then you create this like little chain of boutique hotels.
It's funny. I was just thinking that. So we're in business. I pitched that earlier.
I'm representing you right
there
now.
There we go.
Let's go to
Dead Motels.
Go talk to the Marriotts. They're in Utah at the Temple.
Before we get completely going here, I just want to thank our friends over at extrememusic.com for creating an amazing service. Now listen to me very carefully. If you're a filmmaker, if you create content of any sort, go to extrememusic.com. They have the most amazing array of composers, of people who make music, of bands, of singers. When I did Feliz Navidad, I needed a lot of a cappella stuff, and they had the most amazing a cappella versions of Christmas songs that I've ever heard. In fact, I still go back and listen to them and think, wow, these are really great cuts. But if you're looking for drama, if you're looking for something to feel like a dynamic score, like a John Williams score, or if you're looking to just have like comedy moments, or if you're looking for love, a love moment, an intimate moment, a family moment, a Spanish guitar, a saxophone, they really do have it all. And I can't stress enough their system, how easy it is to use. You go on there, you sign up, you create your folders. Each folder can be a project. Each folder could be different types of music. And then, the affordability of it is amazing because, sometimes you can't afford a composer for your movie or your project. So you have to get creative, pay a little bit less money, go find the music you like on extrememusic.com, and you can also adjust it, change it, find different versions of it. You want instrumental, you want vocals, you want less instrument, less percussion. They do it all. extrememusic.com. Check them out. But later in your career, and I don't know how long ago it was, you have taken to painting and to getting into art. How? And I asked you about this, and I find it interesting that you had no history of painting in your life, and then you started painting, and now you're doing shows and you're selling your art and people are buying it. And how did you?
The Renaissance man over here we're dealing with.
Dude, I'm telling you, people are like showing his art all over the world. It's crazy. They're buying it everywhere. So how did that start? How did you start painting?
Well, I almost died from COVID. I had I got COVID early on in early March of 2020. And I didn't get none of the lung stuff or anything, but I was like really tired and fatigued. There was no testing at the time. Like you couldn't get a test. I was the first person in Sedona, Arizona, in the county to have COVID.
Oh, wow.
I got it when I was back in New York. I went on a business trip, which I probably shouldn't have done. And in the middle of April, I played golf and had a real bad pain in my leg that night. And I thought, maybe I, hit a cactus or something. And it was just hurt like crazy. So I called my doctor, and he says, there's this thing called COVID blood clots. You may have a blood clot.
Wow.
and get to the hospital. So I went to the hospital, and I had a blood clot that went from my groin to my big toe, and it had broken off on top, and it was flapping. And they're wheeling me to, I did an ultrasound, and they're wheeling me to a CAT scan, and the doctor says to me, "What's your religion?" And I said, "That is a really bad question, my friend." Right now it's whatever you need it to be. There was a chance I was going to have a pulmonary embolism. So I struggled with that for a long time. The idea of coming that close to death, because they told me it would be, if I was about 5 or 10 minutes later, that I wouldn't be here. Wow. And so I needed help with that. So I put myself into a 90-day trauma treatment program in Florida. And 2 weeks before I was leaving, I painted for the first time. I'd never painted before. April 12th, 2021. By the way, that first painting is for sale for $1 million if anyone wants it.
Roberts?
And it's 8 by 11. And then after that, I just started to paint, and I just kept painting. I paint every single day. I bring stuff with me when I travel. Wow. Right now I'm using watercolors because I don't want to screw up everyone's hotel room, but I paint in every hotel room I go to.
People buy your paintings.
Well, on Instagram, I put up this little Instagram account, and this gallery in Sedona, came to me and said, "Hey, we really seen some growth in your work over these past few months." And they did a one-man show with me, and I think I sold 8 or 9 pieces at that show initially. And then after that show, I got called by a gallery in Savannah, Georgia, and said, "Hey, we see your stuff online. We'd be interested in representing you." And I was like, "Okay, well, we'll go do that." And then I got a call from a gallery in Madrid, Spain, and one in Berlin. Wow. And so, all this stuff just, started to happen, and people started to buy. I've got some serious collectors that have bought the art. I've had clients that have asked me to commission things for them, and I charge them.
So here on Film Hustlers, we get the word out there. So what's the handle? And we have a packaging deal.
There you go. It's a packaging deal. Okay.
For every painting you sell, we get 3%.
I'm good with 3% because the galleries are taking 50%.
Oh, come on.
That's true.
20. We'll go 20.
But it's it's Stankey, STANKEY _the_artist.com, because someone else took Stankey. For Instagram.
Stanky leg.
Yeah, stanky leg. Yeah, there you go. It's a stanky leg dance.
Yeah.
So
that's amazing.
The Instagram handle.
That's amazing. We should go check it out. Can you buy stuff there? Or contact you to buy things?
You can contact me through it
That's cool.
to do it. But it's kind of interesting right now from the standpoint of just through the Instagram account, I'm selling 2 or 3 paintings a week. Wow. And the money that I get for the paintings, I donate to trauma treatment.
Wow, that's
because
really
I just think it's important,
So has it helped
back.
you? Has it helped you in terms of whatever you were feeling about the COVID?
Yeah,
issue?
it's helped me tremendously.
That's
It's allowed me to express my feelings in a way that I was never able to express them before, and a lot of the paintings that I do, I'm a giant music fan, and so a lot of the paintings I do are named after either songs that have inspired me or I hear a color. So sometimes I'll be thinking about something and I'll be like, oh, I'm hearing blue in this song, and then I'll use blue on that painting in some way, shape, or form. It's called synesthesia. It's a, I don't know if it's a mental disease or a neurological disorder. I'm capable of both, but it's interesting how a lot of the stuff just, comes about. And, on the other side of that, when you're talking about calling people on the phone, you've got to be fearless about a lot of this stuff. Yeah. You can't take it seriously. Funny story. Early in my career, I was 24 years old, and the Jacksons announced they were going to do their victory tour. Okay, so I read this in the trades. And I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking, and Pepsi's spending a ton of money at the time. And Roger Enrico was the chairman of Pepsi, and he lived in New Canaan, Connecticut. And way back then, their phone numbers were you called, whatever it was, not 911, 411, or whatever information was. And I called Roger Enrico the day that it was and I called up and I said, I'm representing the Jacksons, and I think Pepsi would be a great sponsor for this. And Roger Enrico calls me back. And he's like, you're representing the Jacksons? I said, yeah. I said, we're looking for a sponsor for the tour. And this is all nonsense because the tour is being controlled by a guy by the name of Michael Cole, who went on to become the chairman of Live Nation, Canadian guy, and he's an awesome dude. Michael Cole is one of the truly good guys in the business. And Roger Enrico was no idiot, and he didn't think we very quickly figured out this 24-year-old kid wasn't representing the Jacksons. And the mistake that I made was I didn't call Michael Cole first to say, hey, I've got this idea, I'm going to go do this. Had I done that, I probably could have made the deal with Pepsi because Michael would have honored something along those lines. But instead, Roger Enrico, put, the Bat Squad on it, and they figured out, it's Michael Cole who's doing the tour, so they called Michael Cole the next day, and they made a deal with him.
Oh my God,
72
dude,
hours.
That's huge.
Well, story.
Well, you that's an amazing story.
You could take credit for that, though, Stanky. I'm giving you credit.
Making it happen. Well, I'm gonna put you on the spot because we here at Film Hustlers, this is our 4th season. Rod,
Who's
the fuck
Rod?
is Rod? Tootie is a filmmaker. He does indies. He's done a successful film. And Davey Dave's a content creator, actor, the whole thing. I'm a producer, you know that. But part of what we do here is we've been talking to people for 4 seasons about what they can do, how they, similar to what we had a conversation today, how to get yourself ahead, what you can do, our secrets, the other professional secrets, kind of like you gave today. Inspirational stories. Making it happen. But this season, we decided we were going to make our own movie. So the Film Hustlers are making a short, and I sent you...
Yep.
I sent you an audio version,
Yes,
and
you
I
did.
sent you the script. And by the way, he listened to it and he read it.
Oh, really?
What
Yeah.
did you think of that?
I thought it was really, really powerful. It's dark, but the characters are great. It had me like on the edge of my seat at one point, like, heading into, after the guy hung. I don't want to give it away. But,
Yeah, that's okay. He hung himself. Yeah,
after
yeah.
the guy hung himself, or did he really hang himself? Was it a Jeffrey Epstein type of hanging? Is that what happened there? Is that what that was?
Sort of, yeah.
And then going in and seeing, was that his father?
Yeah.
With the, that was just, I thought it was really, really powerful. Even though it was dark, it was powerful.
Yeah.
And and I think as a short, I think that will get a lot of. I think film festivals will like that as a short.
Yeah,
quite
I think
honestly.
so.
And as
too.
a painter, we're going Caravaggio.
Oh yeah,
That's the feel we're going
Yeah.
with. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of, we should put one of Stanky's paintings
Absolutely.
in is it Centauro?
Santoro's, yeah. It could
in
be right
Centauro.
behind him on
yeah,
the
it
wall.
could be interesting. So, so what we're doing is we've been having conversations with many types of investors, people involved in the industry, and we've been raising money to do the movie. Tootie's going to be directing it. He wrote it. We're going to be producing it, like physically producing it. We've got great actors. I'm going to mention the actors because I'm in the middle of making these deals, and they're pie in the sky, scenarios. And I'm not going to say that we've booked them yet. I realized that I can say it that way.
Yeah.
But Emilio Rivera, who's
Right.
been on TV forever, is a friend of ours, and we've met with him and had lunch with
Been
him
on the show, too.
He's been on the show, and he is going to be playing Mendoza, the killer, and. We're just pending availability time. I mean, it doesn't matter when he can do it. We want him to do it, so we'll wait for him till after Mayans. But we're talking to him. We haven't closed his deal yet, and then we have a couple of actors for
Santoro.
for Santoro. It's either Efren Figueroa, who's a great actor, we've also discussed it with Edward James Olmos.
Oh, Ed would be great.
Yeah, so Eddie would be amazing, and his availability is in question. But we've mentioned it to all these guys. They've all taken a look at it. We've have not closed on any of them, so these are all hopes and dreams for us. But have discussed it with all of them, and all of them are willing to do it. So what I'm going to ask you is there any chance that you could support us financially to make some of this film?
Potentially.
Okay, so let me give you an idea. We're raising $50,000 to make it. We've got $25,000 in place. The Film Hustlers are putting up $5,000, and we have, believe it or not, our DP liked it so much that he's putting up $5,000.
Well, we got to shoot on. We're shooting on film.
Yeah, we're going to shoot it
You're
on
gonna
film.
shoot on film?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's great though.
it's an artistic endeavor
Yes.
to the highest degree. And so when we talked last night, I thought for sure I'm going to ask Stanky. If you can join us, and you can do anywhere between what we did, which is 5 to 25.
I'm in for 5.
There you go.
There we go.
All right, cool.
Hey.
Right on. Thank
There you go.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. All right. Well, I put you on the spot. It came through.
Yeah.
We got another 5, and we're going to continue to do this. We're going to shoot the film at the end of January.
Yeah.
So it's going to be done and done.
Can the guy hang himself in a Carl's Jr.? Maybe we can go to them and get some money.
See,
there.
I like what he's thinking.
You know, come on, like there's, let's cobble this all together. You know, can he hang himself with like a Dior robe? You know, let's like look at this seriously in terms of product placement in here. There's a lot of possibility.
But I'm serious about putting a Stanky in Santoro's home. That could be cool, right? Something dark, something interesting. I don't know. I haven't
If you
seen
want
all your
something
work.
dark, I can do dark. you know?
So maybe you can create something specifically for that scene, and
Just
we'll put
let
it up
me
in
know.
there.
I'll do it. Let me know what size. I'm on it.
Because that's part of the issue too in film is that you can't just shoot in a house that's already got paintings. You have to clear that. Did you know that? Yeah, all that has to be cleared. So if we can get one of yours, that would help us a
That
lot.
would be great.
And maybe Mendoza could look past Santoro and go, "Is that a Stinky?"
There you go. That makes it even better. I'm in for 20.
No, there we go.
Dude, can I tell you something? I actually thought that. I did.
Oh, here you go. Stealing my ideas.
No, I actually thought that. I was thinking, like, would it be interesting if Mendoza said, "Is that a Stanky?" Because because Emilio could pull that off. Emilio could pull that off.
In that moment of like intensity, he breaks it with like that. Then he goes, and then it goes back to tense.
Yeah, exactly.
That's hysterical.
But we'll definitely get a painting from you. We got 5 from you, which is terrific. Thank you very much for
You're
supporting.
welcome.
You think we can get into a Sedona Film Festival with this?
For sure.
Okay, good.
Wow.
There's a for sure.
Yeah,
Right
for
there.
sure, you can get into the Sedona Film Festival. I might be able to help you out with the Santa Fe Film Festival
Oh,
as
great.
well.
Yeah.
That's a good one, too.
But Sedona has a very good shorts program.
I had a panel.
Yeah,
That
you
was a
did
lot
a
of
panel.
fun.
You were good.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. But we are shooting for Sundance with this. That's our number one goal for January of 2024.
Yeah.
So that's going to be our goal. But I just want to thank you for being on the show because I think your story is inspirational. I think tons of people are going to appreciate listening to this. They're going to get inspired. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your story with us. Thank you for joining us in Beautiful Darkness. Yep. And we'll hit you up for that money sometime in the future. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
Thank you for
guys.
having me on. I really appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Hank.
Thank you
All
for
right.
listening to
Film
Hustlers.
Hustlers.
Film
Yes.
Hustlers.
Awesome. Thanks,
Great.
Stanky.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we put you on the spot and you delivered.